The Fortnite community is trash. I woke up this morning to see that Tofu Chris on Twitter has taken a break from the platform and has stepped away from social media because the drama from yesterday's announcement of Burnt Peanut being a part of the Battle Pass has affected his personal life. I don't know exactly what that means. I don't know if he's getting doxxed or harassed. Um, but this saddens me for a few different reasons. Um, and in a lot of ways, I find it somewhat ironic. You're going to understand why in a moment. Before I get into all of this, I want you guys to know something. This is going to be a different video than what I normally do. This is not going to be super edited. This isn't scripted. It's going to be me talking and giving my honest thoughts about something, well, about a lot of things that have been bugging me inside the space for a while. The things I want to say today are things that you are not going to hear normally from content creators in the space. And that's going to be for a variety of different reasons. Most people, number one, don't want to be vulnerable like this. Number two, they don't want to step on any toes because some of the things I'm going to say is going to potentially risk certain relationships with people that I have. And I'm not going to go out of my way to name names in a lot of cases, but there are some things that definitely need to be put to the forefront because this is just getting to a point where it's tiring. When I look at like the greater Fortnite community, it's not a joy to be a part of. This is something that my community, my little microcosm of this space, has noted to me over time. We don't like to exclusively focus on Fortnite in the Clark Clint gaming sphere anymore. With my channel, with my brand, been doing a lot of experimentation, listening to my community, branching out and trying other things that have nothing to do with Fortnite overall. And it's not because I don't love the game, but it's because that, quite frankly, there's a point where the juice just isn't worth the squeeze. The Fortnite community is insanely toxic. It's overly negative. And what I've seen from multiple areas over the years is the Fortnite community shoots down its own blessings because we don't know how to properly engage with conversation. And when you have people that try to go above and beyond or express a concept that's foreign or a little bit unique to the Fortnite space, it gets attacked, shot down, and burned to the ground like it's the Salem witch trials. Like it's like one endless witch hunt with this community. And recently what I've noticed is that the community has gotten to a point where instead of focusing on why we play this game, all of us, which is to have fun to some degree, we're more focused on virtue signaling and moral grandstanding and trying to look for who's the worst person in the space. That way we can expose them and talk crap about them and just talk about how terrible a human being they are and how much more morally superior we are to them. And that's not what I got into Fortnite for. And I'm willing to bet it's not what most of you guys got into Fortnite for either. I want to backtrack a moment because there's something very important that needs to be said here. And Chris, if you end up watching this video, um, I hope that this doesn't put you in an awkward spot, but I think that this definitely needs to be said. About 2.5 years ago at my first FNCS tournament that I went to, we were at the tail end of Fortnite Wrecked going into Fortnite Absolute Doom at that time. The remnants, the echoes of the controversy of Fortnite Wrecked was still ripe in everybody's mind. But that chapter 5 specifically, was an era where people just started to become more evil. That's what it felt like. The civil war between the community at that point and the content that spawned from it created a new culture of people that became more invested in drama than actually solving problems with Fortnite, developing community, building relationships, and actually like moving the culture of the game forward. Instead, what we would rather do is we'd rather sit here and talk crap about the game because that's what gets clicks and views. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. When I went to that first FNCS, I had the privilege to sit down and talk to, at the time, the head of competitive Fortnite. What spawned from that conversation are some things that you're seeing inside of the game now. For example, Zero Builds 2.0. Around the time of Wrecked and even going into Absolute Doom, I had made a lot of videos talking about why the culture of the game was feeling off, why the game wasn't hitting the same. It's not that Fortnite had completely lost its identity, but there were some things that were clearly missing. And over the course, I would say, of about a year to year and a half, I made a lot of videos covering the culture of Fortnite. And some of those things that I had spent the time that last year thinking about, I shared with in that conversation with the head of competitive Fortnite. And once again, those things, some of them things that I had mentioned, things that other people there, because there were a lot of creators there. There were people that are far more influential, bigger followings than me. There were a lot of people that were sitting there in that space that took the time to share their thoughts on the direction that zero builds could go. But that conversation was very productive, and as a result, you are now seeing the fruits of that conversation, as well as others that I'm sure were had by other people, other opinions that were gathered. And that turned into the new zero builds meta that we have now, which I think is fantastic. Because my thing, and the thing that I told them at the time, was I wish that you would make zero builds distinct from builds a bit more. It needs to feel like its own separate mode. And we had those conversations in my community on stream, and I believe I had made a couple of videos where I had talked about those concepts. If you were watching my content around that time, you would have seen me talk about that. After that conversation was had, and I spent a couple of days in Dallas with the developers at Fortnite and just some of the larger content creators. One of the things I did was I asked one of the developers that I spent a lot of time with, I said, hey man, I'd love to keep in touch. Do you have like socials or anything? And what that developer said was, man, I would, but Epic unfortunately does not allow us to to have our socials public. They recommend that we don't because of a lot of hate that previous developers have gotten. I said, bro, that's sad, but I totally get it. That developer that told me that at the time was Chris. Chris, I hope I'm not saying anything I'm not supposed to. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here, but I do think that we're at a point where this needs to be said. Earlier that year, when Chapter 5 had started, one of the developers who worked on the animation for the new movement got harassed, doxxed, threatened, and I fear that because of the burnt peanut now being a character inside of Fortnite, that has now happened to Chris. I told you guys that Chris was the one that told me that Epic didn't want him having a social media account, which I had kind of accepted. Fast forward to about January of this year, and I'm starting to notice this Ted Timmons guy interacting with people in the community like crazy. And then I see this Chris guy, who at the time I didn't know was the same Chris that I had talked to. But I'm starting to see them responding to people, engaging with content, sharing people's videos, putting out polls, asking people their opinions on things, trying to have good, respectful, meaningful conversations to bridge that gap from developer to creator to average player. And it worked. It worked very well. But once again, I'm surprised because I was told, wait, they're not supposed to be doing this. So something at Epic changed. And I'm still wondering who got that to happen, who approved it, who recommended it, whatever. But like whoever did that, whoever had the courage to do that, kudos to y'all. And I really got to give credit to Ted and Chris, especially Chris. I shouldn't say especially because Ted has done a lot, and he was the first one I noticed doing this. But I want to give a special note to Chris because he was the one that I had the chance to talk to about the culture of the game first. He was the one that told me, hey, I can't have social media. And for him to go from saying we can't do it because we might get in trouble to him actually doing it, and then the very thing that Epic warned him about ends up happening to him, to now he's taking a break from Twitter because y'all just cannot have a normal conversation like decent human beings. You have ruined one of the best eras in Fortnite history because of your hate. And it's not because you genuinely care about the shit that you're pissed off about. It's because a lot of you guys are just miserable people. Why do I say this? It's because I've seen it with myself and with other creators. People got upset at Chugga Chug because he had a vision for how visual sound effects should work and how right now he believes they're too overpowered, which I don't even know if I personally disagree with that. I haven't really looked into it. That's not an aspect of the game that I've thought about, but it was something he was passionate about. And from what I saw, he brought up some pretty valid points. This somehow turned into you hate deaf people. Looking at myself, and I know I say all of this with running the risk of bringing up some old feelings, but you know what? At this point, I really don't care. From my controversies with cardboard boxes to battle passes being compared to relationships, allegedly, to the Peterbot situation, I've noticed a pattern. And once again, it's not just with me. It's not just with Chugga Chug. It's with Like it's Chris, it's anybody, freaking Nick A30. It's the same thing. Somebody will look at what somebody says. You'll take an argument. You'll take the baseline of the argument as somebody says, and because you don't like it, because somebody explained it so well, because the points are so good, what you do is you take it, you straw man it, and you extrapolate some narrative that has nothing to do with what the person was talking about. There's no way in hell I watched Chugga Chug's video and thought, yeah, this guy absolutely hates deaf people. And this goes back to my earlier point, which is that you guys don't, like, you're not advocating, you're not fighting for things, you're not speaking out against things because you genuinely feel passionate about these crusades that you go on. You do it because you just want to foster hate. It was the same thing with me and the Battle Pass stuff. I understand that argument that I gave made a lot of people feel uncomfortable. That was the intention, but it was also designed to stick into your mind. As I've said to multiple people, the point wasn't to equate the value of relationships to battle passes. The point was to talk about two different types of relationships and explain why gatekeeping certain things is sometimes a net positive, and how really the only people that can gatekeep cosmetics is Epic. Now, I'm not interested in having that conversation anymore. I feel the way I do about it, and you guys feel the way you do about it. But what I've noticed is nobody can really have a decent, reasonable conversation about difficult things. That escalated for myself even further when we came to the Peterbot situation. And look, I understand why people got upset about the Peterbot video. When you're talking about things that have to do with racial issues, that's a little bit more, how do I say, controversial than battle passes. However, I was not surprised by the backlash from that. The issue when it comes to topics like that is those conversations are rooted in history, it's rooted in a lot of pain, and there are a lot of interesting perspectives on all sides of the argument. The thing that I was trying to do, whether people realize it or not, is share my experience as a black man who has dealt with this probably more than most of the people that were calling me slurs in the comment section, which ironically, since everybody was so upset that I was allegedly okay with slurs and racism, nobody decided to turn around and get upset at the people who went out of their way to call me slurs because that was okay. Once again, you don't actually care about the thing that you're crusading for. You're only looking for a whipping boy. And I have been that whipping boy multiple times in my career. But you know what? That's the path I chose to take, and I take full responsibility and accountability for that. And you know what? I don't regret it, which is why you can go back on my channel now and find my most controversial videos still up, because I don't regret what I said. I believe in what I said. And for a lot of you, it's going to take you several years to get to the level of understanding that I have to be able to understand the point of what I was trying to say at that time. Sometimes you have to let people catch up to your content and the message that you're trying to give. But when it comes to giving more profound messages or more complex messages in the Fortnite space, or when it comes to, let's just get off that for a moment. When it comes to people just trying to have fun or encourage good dialogue and conversation in the Fortnite space, that is rewarded with hatred. And quite frankly, I'm tired of seeing it. And you know what? This is the thing that's going to probably piss off people the most out of everything that I've said so far in this video. Do you want to know who's really to blame for this? It's not even necessarily just the people that are perpetuating these dumbass ideologies or these dumbass movements or attacks on people in the space, right? In the comment section. No, it's the content creators. I have seen ever since Fortnite Chapter 5, and I'm not the only one to say this. A lot of you guys, my community, you guys have noticed this too. And people outside of my community, I guarantee you, you've also noticed this. Regardless of how you feel about this type of content, there has been an excessive amount of hate-centered Fortnite content. Content that revolves around shitting on people. Content that revolves around talking crap about people. I'm not going to name names, but there are tons of content creators out there in the space that do this. There's been an entire economy built upon hating other creators, staying involved in gossip and drama. The issue that I have with this content isn't that it's not well edited, isn't that it can't be interesting, isn't that it doesn't get decent views, but it's that it completely destroys the culture of Fortnite and ruins the community building aspect. The thing that personally, from my earliest points in this Fortnite space, something that I have been trying to do, unify different members of the community in completely different ways. And I will be the first person to tell you I have failed at that in a lot of areas. I'll give you a brief story. There was a larger content creator that I had reached out to last year to collaborate with. There was a big project that I wanted to do. And I was told by this creator, hey, you know, I like your idea. I think that sounds dope. Send me a message, reach out to this person here, create a what do you want to call it? Not a blueprint. Create a pitch for it, send it to me, we'll talk about it. So awesome, great. And you know what was worse than being told no after putting in all the effort and all the work into doing it? It was hearing nothing back at all. And the thing is, I don't take it personally because I had to look at myself in the mirror and be like, well, why is this? It's probably for a few reasons. One, you kind of, you might be perceived as a hothead amongst creators that are larger than you, number one. Number two, you probably just don't have enough value, haven't created enough value in the space to warrant this level of collaboration. Because the idea that I had, it was going to bring larger and smaller creators together in a way that the community has never seen. And to this day, I am still trying to figure out a way to do it. I just haven't had the time. But then there's a part of me that's like, well, what's the point? Because, and I will admit this, when I was a smaller creator, I used to get frustrated by the larger creators and wonder why they didn't reach out to the smaller creators as much, and why there wasn't more collaboration, why there wasn't more synergy between the different people. Why doesn't this person stream with this person? And then the larger I got as a creator and the more privileges that I was awarded, the more hate that I got. And then I started to understand, it's like, oh, no, I get it. See, the issue is, because of this culture of hate that's been cultivated on the lower level in the content space, it's created an environment where the smaller content creators, even if you don't make that kind of content, the smaller content creators, we kind of look unhinged. And that includes myself, because of certain things that I've said and certain pieces of content that I made. I understand. I get it. Even though I have the best of intentions and try to provide nuance and balance with the things that I say, I also understand that some of the things that I say can come across as unhinged, even if they may not be. Even if they are more, let's say, radical takes or more advanced takes on certain things, regardless of how balanced I try to make them seem, they can be perceived as unhinged. And I had to look at myself in the mirror and be like, is this really what I'm trying to cultivate myself? Am I trying to cultivate a culture of just, I don't know. I don't even know what kind of culture was being cultivated, but I tell you this, I wasn't happy with it. Last year, I was not happy with my content, the culture of my community, because I felt that it was too negative. And I had to take responsibility for that. I had to look in the mirror. And I realized something too. And, honestly, there was a turning point for me last year. There's a person that's quickly becoming one of my best friends in the content creation space. And we went to TwitchCon together last year. He told me something very profound. He said, the content creators that are doing the best right now are the ones that are focusing on having fun with Fortnite. Yeah, it's cool to talk about the problems and the good old days and nostalgia and all that. That's great. But if you want to be a content creator of note, like one that's really growing, you gotta have fun with the game. You got to show people how to have fun with the game. And then that reminded me of another conversation that I had with a group of friends earlier in the year, where I said I wanted to show people how to have fun with Fortnite again because I felt like we kind of forgot. And that goes to like the broader point of all of this, right? We all are a part of this community, whether you like cosmetics, the storyline, competitive, four corner challenge videos, commentary content, whatever. The whole reason that we're here is because we love this game to some degree. We're passionate about it. Especially for the content creators, we're passionate about it to a degree where some of us have made this our career, some of us are aspiring to make it a career, and others are, even if you're not trying to make a career out of it, you're passionate enough about this game to make content on it. And a lot of you guys have been inspired by other content creators. And I think the thing for me that's very difficult is we will never probably reach the level of synergy I really wanted to see in this space between larger, mid, and smaller creators, because we consistently get caught up in endless amounts of drama. And it's not necessary. Drama over things that are stupid. And we've gotten to the point where the devs that had our back, the people that were advocating for us, the people that were giving us community days, new modes, cosmetics, paying attention to the storyline, listening to our feed. Like, we had direct access to Epic Games, to people that worked on the game on social media, and we pissed it away because of a virtual peanut. I'm not going to even touch that one because I don't know anything about it. But I tell you what, getting pissed off at Chris and crapping on Chris is not the way to go. We should all be talking about how dope the new season looks and how excited the new season is going to be and how much fun we're going to be having on Friday and Saturday for the live event and the new season. That's what I want to be looking forward to. Not tearing down creators or devs in the space that are been trying to help us and put out a helping hand and speaking in good faith. And look, I don't want to hear this shit about it's a small minority of the community doing this because, and this is, once again, this is the thing that I'm really trying to get to, and I want people to understand, specifically the content creators. When you make content that is designed to shit on Epic, that is designed to shit on the game or other content creators in the space, you yourself are cultivating a culture of people that hate. There is no way around it. I don't care if you personally have not sent someone to attack an Epic Games dev. When your content is centered around this thing's a piece of shit, this person's a piece of shit, I hate this thing over here, and you don't have any nuance in what you're saying, this is what you get. You cultivate a community that is not fun to interact with. Content creators don't want to work with each other because they're too worried about everyone talking crap about them. And then you push devs away that are actively trying to make the game better. I hope you're happy. This is what we got exactly what we deserved. Quite frankly, the community's been shit for a long time. And it's gotten to a point where I just don't have any interest in, I'm getting to a point where I don't really have interest in being super involved with it. And it's not, and listen, it's not that I'm going to quit Fortnite or something. I'll probably, to a certain degree, always come back to this game. But being exclusively a Fortnite content creator and trying to build traction with other people that either want to talk crap about you behind your back or have no interest in collaborating with you because they're too afraid, it's a dead-end street. This is the thing that gets me. It's like, we're doing this for what? For some videos that'll get 50,000, maybe 100,000 views that someone's going to forget about within 2 weeks? Prime example of this. Every December to January, you know what season it is? It's not Winterfest season. It's let's shit on Nick A30 season. The amount of crap that I see about Nick A30 every Christmas time, every Christmas season, is profound. And you know what? There is an entire economy that has been created around exclusively just shitting on Nick A30. But you know what's funny about it? I don't have any part of it because I don't want to sit down and just talk crap about people that are better than me, that are better at making content than me. Think about that for a minute. Your entire brand, when you sit around and you make content like this, even if it's not every video you do, you are creating content talking down to people that have excelled beyond you, that have built more than you have, that have created more value than you have, and probably ever will, because they aren't sitting here worried about what everybody else is doing. There's something I learned recently. Successful people don't worry about what their competition is doing. They focus on what they're good at and deliver on that. And that's what, quite frankly, I had to remind myself of over these last 6 months. These last few months have been a grind and a struggle for me. But you know what? And this is what I will say about every single controversy that I've ever had, every single bad interaction I've ever had in a space, I thank God for it every day. Because I would not have been as effective of a content creator as I have been if I didn't go through some really hard shit. I don't even know where I want to go for this next part, man. I could ramble on and on about this whole day. It's just sad. It honestly, at the end of the day, this is sad. The community is just, it's saddening to see where this community has gotten to. You know, here's one thing I will say. My position as a content creator is unique for a couple of different reasons, a couple of big reasons. So I've been playing Fortnite for as long as the biggest creators in the space. Maybe even longer than some of them. So Lachlan, Ninja, Cypher, all of those guys, right? All the legacy content creators, typical gamer. I was playing the game when it first came out. The difference was I didn't make the decision to become a content creator until the end of chapter 2. Chapter 2, season 7 to be specific. I spent like the first half of Fortnite's lifespan as just a casual fan that just loved the game and played the game pretty much every day for like 2 years. And then I saw the other side of it, the content creation side, and fell in love with that. So it made my love of Fortnite even more solid. Because of that perspective, I kind of get to see Fortnite from 2 different angles. I can see how my mindset and how my perspective on the game has changed from from a young 20-something-year-old that just found the game to a now early 30-year-old that has like established a brand and a following inside of this space. The other thing that makes my perspective unique is I'm not the biggest creator, but I'm also not like an up-and-coming one either. Like I'm kind of in the middle, and I don't like to probably just talk about like how big my reach is or what my status is in the space, but I have been around in the community long enough to know that even though I don't have the biggest impact, even though I haven't made the biggest waves in the Fortnite community, I've made a couple of ripples. Some for some good things that I've done, some for some bad. Take that as you will. But because I'm in the middle, I get to peer behind the curtain from time to time and see what the guys at the top do, but I'm still close enough to the guys that are underneath me to understand where they're coming from. God put me in a very interesting position where I can see the nuance of both sides, which is why some from time to time people that don't take the time to listen to my content think that I'm straddling the fence. It's not that I'm straddling the fence, it's that I can see more of the field than you can. I can see both sides of the field, and both sides have their advantages and their disadvantages. But if there's one thing that I know for a fact that's true, it's that both sides share the same problem. And that problem is hate. And quite frankly, this community has cultivated it. Now listen, I'm going to make this very clear. I'm not telling a single content creator that's going to hear this video to stop making the content that you're doing. I'm not going to try to virtue signal into everybody that you need to get off Twitter and live a better life and go to the gym and work out. Blah. I'm not going to do all that shit. The community is going to do what the community does. But I want you to watch. I want you to pay attention to something. I want you to pay attention to the fruit that you bear as a result of your actions. If you think that being a part of this community is more fun when you sit down and you tear down other creators, for whatever the reason is, you think that tearing down other creators that have built more stuff than you have is beneficial to your brand and that's going to make people like you more, or quite frankly what it looks like is you're just pandering to the community. A lot of the time, like, people, they have takes and opinions on things that aren't very profound. They're just the things that you hear people say on Twitter a lot, and if you make content about that thing, then it's going to get you views. It's not very hard to placate to the feelings of the Fortnite community. And if you do that, if you validate the feelings of these angry people, you will get views. But in time, everybody has to reap what they sow. Take it from somebody who's experienced it firsthand. I know what that feels like. I do also understand, because of where I'm at and the space that I'm in, when I say certain things, because of the mentality of people in this space, it's gonna ruffle some feathers. It's gonna hurt some people. But this has been my personal philosophy. I don't care if it hurts my brand. I'm going to speak the truth. If there's a position that I have that I genuinely feel passionate about, and that position is not going to make the Fortnite community feel warm fuzzies inside, if it's something that needs to be said, I'm going to say it. This video is a prime example of that. I don't really make Fortnite commentary content like I used to because I don't really see the need. But when certain issues arise, when I see certain problems that pop up, I will speak on it. I will talk about it because I think it's important. I think it's necessary. This is one of those moments. So to Chris and any of the Epic devs, if you guys choose to completely stay off of Twitter moving forward, or if the higher ups at Epic tell you back off because your family's lives are at risk over a peanut inside the video game, God bless you guys. Your families are more important than the communication between us and you. And go back to speaking to creators that you know are going to be well balanced and not mentally challenged, and that are basically creators that are mentally stable. They're going to help you further the culture of this game the best way possible with you working behind the scenes. Because putting your lives or your family's lives in jeopardy is not really worth some pixels on screen in a video game. It's not. And to the Fortnite community, I hope you understand. Some of you understand what I'm saying here. I, for a long time, have not been very passionate about the overall Fortnite space, but to my friends and to the creators that I've reached out to, um, I love y'all. I have the utmost respect for you guys. There are some beautiful people in the space, which, like, I'm not trying. I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Even though the Fortnite community has its problems, there are some amazing people in the space. Even the creators that I disagree with, or the ones that I think are cultivating negativity, you guys have something special. You are very talented creators, but I wish that you would move forward from hyperfixating and monetizing the hate and the anger of the Fortnite community. It's not going to lead you to a road that you like. You're going to burn yourselves out. And honestly, you probably won't even notice it. You'll probably get tired of Fortnite, and when shit gets too tough, you'll move on to the next game and repeat the process over there. In your path, you will leave a wake of communities burning, set on fire, because the only thing you've learned how to do over time is tear down and talk crap about other people that are more successful than you, rather than building a brand and identity around the things that you're best at, which I'm willing to bet a lot of you are absolutely fantastic at a lot of different things. I don't know. We were doing so well. We were progressing forward. We were doing so much. And this to kind of, you pushed away one of the best people that was on our side. That hurts. Sucks. But you know what? We get what we deserve.